I have some news, and that is, if you don't already know, Norma is retiring after 28 years of service to the seniors of Norfolk.
My buddy.
You would think after all these years you'd remember your own name.
So.
He would come in on that, right?
Oh,
We were
yeah.
going to mention you today.
Yeah,
How
well,
I haven't forgiven you for what you did to me.
I was just telling Katie that and Chris that, can I sit down?
Yep.
Yes, you
No.
can.
Too bad.
2
Too
o'clock.
bad.
No,
He's my
we've got-
buddy. And I
No,
was
wait, hold
just
it.
looking-
Hold it. Am I in
gotta
charge
tell
here?
him.
I know.
No. I
I
gotta tell him.
remember.
2 o'clock we
You
want.
took a picture
No,
of my
no,
flower
let me- Oh, I did, yes.
in my
Yeah,
backyard,
it was
and
in,
you gave
came
it to
out
me.
great.
Yes.
Yeah. But what you never forgave me for was when they were building the senior center
Mm-hmm.
and excavating, you very meticulously went out every 2 or 3 days and videotaped all the progress.
I did.
And you guarded that tape with your life. And one day I needed it for something. And
You were
I-
going to make a short version to put on the air.
And I lost it. This is 16 years ago.
And I still haven't forgiven him.
And she still hasn't
By the way,
forgiven me.
folks, this is Paul Guertin,
Oh, do we know who you are?
who got us started on this, what, 11 years ago,
It
12
was
years
more than
ago?
11 because it had to have been around 2000.
We moved in 2002, so you're right.
It had to, it was almost, it's going on 17 years, Richard.
You're kidding.
17
come you
years.
don't look 17
The poor
years
folks
old?
at
I do.
Norfolk have had to watch this for 17 years.
I can remember I fluffed up every time we did it down to the old Clawmill Arms.
Yeah,
I had a dress on.
I wore a shirt
I
and
really
tie,
did.
and yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And now look at us.
And now look at them.
I didn't even care. I had
The
my
show's
hair cut
gone
today.
downhill for
Right.
15
Yeah, you did.
and a half
Yeah.
years, but
Too short.
Well, what brings this? Paul came all the way from Florida just for this
flew
interview.
in this morning.
Isn't that something,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Gonna
Really?
fly out tonight.
Really?
No,
No, I didn't think so.
no, we.
I was going to say
I got
you
a
are a
call-
true friend, but
I am a true friend.
I know you
I
are.
am.
And it's funny. I thought of you this morning because I have that picture up in my plant room.
You do?
And I was looking at it, and I was, in there, and I thought, oh,
What happened to the plant?
the plant hasn't bloomed in a while because I had to separate it because it had gotten so big, but I still have it.
Oh, good. That was quite a while ago, too.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? Those
yeah,
two great big
was
blossoms.
nice.
I think it was a cactus orchid, wasn't it?
Don't ask me.
It was, yeah.
was-
You took several pictures, and I got to pick the one that I
Yeah,
liked the
that's
best.
right.
Mhm.
See, that's so. Are you going to now forgive him for losing that
Yes,
tape?
that's. I
You
flew
can.
in so that I
you could be
Right
forgiven.
here on tape, I want to be forgiven.
Yeah?
It would
So there'll be
seem.
no denying it.
Yeah? I don't know. I'll have to
Come
think
on,
about
come
it.
on.
I'll have to think about
You've
it.
been thinking about it for 15 years.
Yes, I have. And every time I think about it.
Oh, man.
But you know what? The tape that you did do, little inserts.
Yeah.
Very nice. And I've been putting some of the things together, like when the bulldozer first came up, that's part of the stuff you lost.
I know.
When the
I know.
bulldozer broke through and came up, I got some of the dirt. And I went home and I sifted that dirt.
Yes, you did.
And yeah, and when we had open house in 2002, we gave everyone these teeny little vials of dirt from the senior center, and it wrapped around it. And matter of fact, I think there's a little one right here. Not that this was handy, but I'd have. And there's a little poem that Ginny
There's dirt
Homer.
in there?
Huh? There's dirt in there. Yeah.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
a vial
A
in
little
there with
vial,
dirt in
a-
it.
a
It's
little
not a
vi-
dirty. It's a dirty picture then.
No.
I asked about
yeah.
that, but she wouldn't do it.
Yeah, you can open it because we can put it back together.
No, I don't.
just-
That'll be too hard.
Oh, won't you just slip it off? Well, I guess you don't. It won't slip off.
It's aged on there.
It's aged on there. Yeah.
Well, for
No,
whatever
well,
it's
he-
worth to the folks at home, working with Norma and Richard for the number of years that I was
17.
happy to work with them, it was wonderful. They're very easy to get along. They generally know what they're doing.
We fooled him, did we?
We had you fooled too. Well, you
But
know.
you're gonna miss this show.
Well, this is it. This is our
it.
last show.
Even Richard, yeah.
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 So we today we're planning on having some folks come at 2 o'clock.
Right, so I'm
to-
leaving.
So you're a little early. No, but
This
we'll
was
ask
a-
Chris. He can cut this and put it as part of, because Norma's going to recollect her 28 years of service to Norfolk from the time she was a little kid.
Yep.
Can you remember that far back?
Well, I have, you can't imagine what I've saved.
All about.
I've
Yeah.
saved pieces of the roofing. I've saved pieces of everything that I have. And I was just afraid the next director come in would say, what is this dirt? What is this?
Yeah.
And so I put it in a great big container, and I've marked it history of building a senior center.
Are we going to
I've got
bury it out in
everything.
the yard? Like
We could, like a
Yeah.
time
yeah,
capsule.
one of those time capsule things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
I've got all kinds of every memo that I ever got.
Oh my
And
heavens.
everything. Oh yeah, even when the neighbors took us to court, I've got all that.
Oh,
You've got all the
that'll be
evidence.
good.
All the evidence. Yeah, the neighbors are very good, by the way.
Do we
Yes,
know who
they
the
are
new
now.
director will be?
No, not, and they haven't picked one yet.
Oh.
But
No, we're going through the review process starting next week.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't want to hold up the show.
You're not holding anything up. We're
Because-
just here to shoot the breeze.
yeah.
It appears that way.
Yeah.
just like back in the old days.
Oh, today's. We might go over the newsletter if we have
Yeah,
time.
what the heck? You know.
Yeah.
You know.
No, but this part of it's going to go on part 2, which is this is your life, Norma type thing.
Well, Katie called me up about a week ago, and she said, the Senior Set Gazette is going to have its final shooting, and she thought it was for next month. And she said, any
It
chance you
is.
could
It
come
is for
down?
August. It is for
Oh,
August.
well, she thought that shooting would be next month.
Oh,
And I said, yeah, no, I'd love to come, and that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then she called me back 3 days later and said, oops, it's not next month. Can you come next week? So I said, yeah, that would be great. I can't believe that Norma's going to quit and Richard have nothing to do on these days.
It's not that I'm quitting. I'm just kind of retiring.
I didn't mean to say quitting.
no,
Yeah.
she's quitting. No,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
she could stay. Look at her.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
think she's
yeah.
ready for retirement?
She
Well-
doesn't
no
look a day
chance.
older than you did 17 years
How
ago.
about that? Yeah, nice and good friend. But anyway, I have a son-in-law that is getting ready to retire, and I thought, what's wrong with this picture? I'm still working, and he's going to have all the fun and retire. So
Well, you're going to have a lot of fun.
yes, I am. I have 7 great-grandchildren now.
You do? 7 great grandchildren.
7,
Wow.
and
That's
some
showing
travel?
off, I
Yeah.
think. But
You're going to travel a
but
little
when
bit?
who knows?
let's go back
Who
to
knows?
let's go back to the Shady Nook.
Yeah,
That was where we first started the
first
film.
started.
right, yeah.
Yep.
And it was Paul and you and me, right? I don't
Yeah.
think there was
Yeah.
anyone else involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was before Katie.
We're on
and
like a
before
little
Chris.
stage kind of type thing.
Yeah, we
sat
had a
in
little
two
stage.
chairs. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you came in the side door
Mm-hmm.
because there were other things in that building. And then there was we put up a petition wall
Yes.
with a door, and inside that is where everything took place. And you guys, you never missed a show, did you, in all these years?
I don't think so.
We missed one show last month. It's the only show we ever missed.
Ever missed. Yep. Yep.
So,
Great.
but I got to say this: when Paul talked to me about doing the show, and I got to admit you were kind of quiet. I didn't know you very well back then, and I thought you were kind of quiet. So I told Paul, I said, "Gee, we're going on the show, and she won't say anything, and I don't know enough about what's going on." How wrong I was.
Yeah.
You don't
How
know me.
wrong I was. It's like my wife. My friends used to say, "Doesn't your girlfriend talk?" Well, that went down the tubes. So when we started Bang, you got right into it and did it. And
I
it
remember
worked
you
out.
saying that. I said,
Yeah,
Mama
I
doesn't
got-
talk. I'm
that's
going to
true.
have
That
to
is
carry
true.
the whole show, you said.
All right. Well, shall we move on to?
Yes, you should move on. And congratulations.
Thanks.
I think it's great that you're going to have some time to travel, enjoy your grandkids, your great-grandkids. And you'll have to just
How
go
about
over
her
to-
husband? You haven't mentioned anything about enjoying her husband.
Yeah, well, enjoy your husband.
He's thrilled that she's going to be home all the time.
Yeah.
I bet he
Yeah.
is. Although he delivers for my daughter owns a flower shop in Rentham Moors.
Always doing that, yeah.
So
And
he
he's going to
delivers.
start doing long distance deliveries.
And who knows, maybe
Take him a week to get back.
I
Yeah,
might
that's the
show
one,
up
you
at
got
the
it.
store and help her.
Yeah.
She doesn't know it yet, but I might. That would be fun.
All right.
All right.
Hey,
so
Paul,
let
thanks
me
for
move on.
coming.
Oh, you're welcome. It's
Are
been
you going to
fun.
stop over to my house?
Well, I don't know how. Oh, can I?
Sure.
Will she answer the door when she sees it's me?
Maybe not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I will.
sure.
I think I'll
Yeah,
stop and say
the
hey.
PT lady's there at the moment,
Oh,
but she'll be gone.
All right, good. Well, congratulations again.
You didn't bring the
Thanks.
bride with you?
No,
Oh, well, maybe you won't. It's up to you,
no.
because we definitely got to get together.
Yes, soon, yeah. But we'll catch up on that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great.
And
Good
for
to
the
see you,
record,
Paul.
I forgive you.
Oh, did you hear that, folks?
You want to get it in
Forgives me.
writing?
She forgives me.
I doubt it.
No,
And my fingers crossed.
no, she forgave me. We got it on tape.
There you go.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
And within a month, the lady that I'm with, Norma Shruhan, after 28 years of service to the seniors in Norfolk, is retiring. Hi, Norma.
Hi.
You're
Can we
gonna-
just
you're
do
gonna-
this?
Yes, this is not the Silver Set Gazette again.
No, even though we have the
just
same
did that.
clothes.
Yeah.
I should have gone
Hope you don't
home and
watch these two
changed.
programs, one right after the other, because we'll be in the same outfit. That's okay.
Okay.
What I asked Norma to do is to go back and get some memories from her 28 years when she started here at Norfolk with the seniors.
And I did.
Now, you came from Dedham,
I did.
and how did you get to Norfolk?
I married someone who lived in Rosendale, and we moved to Rosendale. And then when we had 4 children, and my brother would come in and he'd say, you know, this isn't big enough. I mean, 2 bedrooms with 4 kids. He
Oh,
said,
boy,
this
yeah.
looks like an army barracks. All you need to have is a
The Army cots.
cot and a case down at the end of each bed. So it was time to look for a new place. Although we had it made because Jim's mother lived upstairs, and we have free babysitter, and the kids are always up
Oh,
there. And
yeah.
it was a good time. But anyway, they took us out to look at land and took us to the house. And first of all, they took us over to Norwood by where is it Long Pond or was
yeah.
Long
Yeah.
Pond, and there was a lot of land over there that we did purchase. But the gentleman who owned the land, there were 2 lots, one to sell them both together because one had an easement on it, and he knew we'd never be able to sell that, and we couldn't afford to buy both pieces. So, of course, the real estate dealer doesn't want to give you your money back.
No, of course not.
So they took us around and showed us the house in Norfolk. And on 115, there were 3 houses. There was our house, there was a ranch, and further down a cape. And we took the Garrison because it had 4 bedrooms.
With the
And,
4 kids.
With
sure.
the 4 kids.
Yeah.
And it has really worked out. We have met so many friends here in Norfolk. And we moved in at a good time. We moved in 1964. In 1970 was the centennial.
Yes, that was great.
And that's when we met
that was a lot
most
of
of our
fun.
friends. It was a lot of fun. And my children were just old enough so that, I could
Yeah.
just leave, and they joined in with the Centennial too. They were part of, I was a cameo, and Jim was a Wampanoag Indian.
Aha.
Yeah, and we had more fun.
Oh,
We
didn't we?
really
Boy,
did.
that was a great time.
Nowadays, you couldn't do that.
No.
We'd be arrested.
It'd be,
We'd be arrested.
they would write you up.
And the chief of police was right in with us.
Of course
it was
he
so
was.
funny. Johnson, yeah.
Well, I just let me throw in just one quick story about that. The Lions Club, I was King Lion, and we put together a paper mache elephant that went over the
remember
top.
that.
Went over the top of a tractor, and it pulled a sideshow, which was a trailer with the kids, all the kids in front in a stand, and behind them was a cage, and there was a live lion in there, and the Lions Club members all. One was the strong man, and one was the fat lady, and all the rest of it. And what a great time we had.
It was.
But after it was over, I found out later that as King Lion, they were going to take this whole rig and bring it over to my house. I think they had been imbibing on that Sunday.
Probably.
Fortunately, it hit a pole. Didn't damage the pole, but it stopped them from getting to my house. Otherwise, I'd have had that whole thing in my house. But that was the kind of spirit it was.
Spirit it was.
And
It
your
was
folk-
really
yeah,
great.
Yeah,
It
my
really
kids
was.
were a lot younger than yours.
Yeah.
And they.
Oh, because
they
my
had a
kids
good-
babysat a couple
Yes.
of times for
Oh,
your
that's
children.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, when did you start into this senior business?
It was, I had a part-time job, and I just didn't really care for it. I was working in a place that was advertisement, and the salesman would sit at the telephone and they'd call people and they'd talk so nice to them when they get off the phone, they'd say, oh, that,
Oh,
And I
no,
thought, is
yeah.
that how sales?
That's not your style.
No,
No.
I just hated it. And then I was looking through the paper one day and I saw an ad for secretary for the Council on Aging. And I cut it out and it sat on the table and sat on the table. And then one night I had just had it with working,
Yeah.
where I was working. And I called them. And so I got invited in and she hired me on the spot. After the interview, I thought, oh, I have a week now, No, she called right away. It was Carol Belcher.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And
Good.
then Carol was there it was 1988, and I think Carol retired in 1990, and her job was open, and they had posted it, and she said to me, well, why don't you take it? She said, you're going to have to train the new person coming in anyway.
Yeah.
So I did, and Merrill Morris hired me. The town administrator is my boss.
Yeah, I remember her.
Merrill Morris, yeah. And I've always had older people in my family. I had my grandmother, all her brothers and sisters, and it was a big family, lived to their 90s. Matter of fact, one of my aunts lived to be 100.
Wow.
And she never had any children, and of course my brother and I were her kids.
You were her kids.
And, I've always been around older people. And,
so you fit right into the...
I did.
mode,
And
yeah.
I felt at home. This is the best job. I mean, I owe the town for giving me this job. It isn't as if, I've had more fun and more memories and met so many nice people. And then when Carol retired, she took me down and the council then met at the Hillcrest Village in the community room.
Oh.
And she took me down there and to introduce me to the folks. And she said, and this is your new director. And this little man in the back raised his hand. He said, is she the only one that applied for the job? It was like, his name was Winslow Whittier. I'll never forget him.
Yeah, I guess you won't.
And then we became friends. And his greatest joy was to take my newsletter and look for errors.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that tickled him, even if it was just a comma out of place.
If he found something.
Oh, yeah, it tickled him. But that's okay. We were friends.
Good.
Yeah, and I was younger in those days.
Of course, you could take
so I
a
had
lot,
all these older people were like my mothers. I had like...
Yeah, that's true. Telling you what to do. You had all those mothers.
I had Jeannie Squires. I met her in the post office once. It was where the cleaners is now. And I got heck for not having hat, scarf, and mittens on a cold winter day. It
Your
was
mother
just like,
says.
a lot of things. So many people were like that, and they were so, and we didn't have a senior center. Because we were in the Old Town Hall, and we met one day at the Federated Church, and the Grange was so good to us, because Stan Collins was part of the Grange, and Clara White. And Ann Cummings was a doll. She was a real nice lady. She was in the Friends group. And Mike Farragamo, too. Do you remember Mike Farragamo? No. Part of the Friends group. And the Grange people would open the Grange and never charged us. And they'd have all kinds of luncheons for the seniors and that sort of thing. And I can remember having a luncheon there. And my grandchildren were needed community service hours for confirmation and that sort of thing. And they'd always say, Grandma, you got anything? So I can remember one day we had a luncheon down there. The Friends had a luncheon, and we're going to play bingo afterwards. So I had mostly boys for grandchildren. So the two oldest boys were down there playing bingo, and they were doing the wheel. And everybody was there. It was full. And some of the little grandchildren were helping people like Chauncey Eisner. And they loved it, and that sort of thing. But the two older boys, they were really bad. They were calling the numbers. And we had this one woman, her name was Louise Ten. She was a big lady, and she was a rough and, kind of lady. And all I need is B2. All I need is B2. And she kept saying it. And every time B2 came out, they put it back in the...
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it was bad. And, all the ladies, everybody around knew what they were doing.
Oh,
because they were all laughing. You knew exactly what they were doing. But it must have been for something for church or something. And I said, that was really bad. You're supposed to be doing this for church, and you did that. They told me afterwards they thought it was the funniest thing they had. And it was, where everyone else knew, and they just held that back for her, and she was kidding. And there were hardly any balls left in the machine.
Still B2 would not come
It
up.
wasn't coming up. Anyway, yeah.
Well, it was at one of those meetings that you had, events rather, at the Grange Hall, that Georgia Jones talked me into becoming a member.
Georgia
so
talked
I
to
came
everybody.
Yeah, she did. Oh, she was good.
Yeah, she
And
was
I'm
good.
glad she did. It's been a great
It
experience.
has been, yeah. Yeah.
So from there you went to.
From there, we went to the the new town hall, which we had 2 offices down
Oh,
there,
yes,
and we
yeah.
had a sitting area.
Yeah.
Someone had given us couches. They had moved, and this table, they had moved, and this is more like, Western
Yes.
furniture, and they wanted to make it more colonial. So they gave us all their furniture, which we couldn't bring here because everything had to be fire retardant.
Oh yeah.
And
The
so
laws had
everything
all
you see
changed.
here, the curtains and everything,
Yeah.
you just can't go buy curtains in
No,
the
that's
store.
true.
And we were there for a while. And then they looked into buying the old Legion Hall on Myrtle Street and having that as a senior
Yeah,
center.
up in City
And
Mills.
that kind of fell through. And then it was the Grange Hall. The Grange Hall actually offered to sell the building to the town. And that didn't happen. And then Chris Shaw's husband, Alan, he found this piece of land. This was town-owned land. And that's how it all started. And, the town gave us the
Yeah.
money.
And we had the trials and tribulations of building this building.
Yeah, we
Which
did.
was exciting.
And we ran out of money. And
Sure,
so
we had to
the
go back.
upstairs was finished in 2002. And the lower level was finished in 2004. And that's when we dedicated the building in 2004.
Yeah.
But it was in 2002.
And from all the people that come here from other towns, they say this is the best.
It is.
And you said something the other day, or when we were doing the other show, about we try to make people feel at home here.
We try to make it homey,
Yeah.
And I hope we have. We don't want it to be institutional, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
People are welcome if they run out of milk just to go in and get it in the refrigerator. And, they can.
Sure.
If they go shopping and they stop here, they can put their things in the refrigerator so they don't spoil to go home. And
No, you've done a good job, you and your
we
crew,
try.
making this.
We try. And we had a great group of people who help us pick out the furniture and
Sure.
to do things. Debbie Owen.
Oh,
she was.
Boy, she was invaluable.
She
came
was.
at the right time.
Oh, yes. And then
for a
she
lot of
moved.
reasons, yeah.
And she moved. How
I
dare
know
she?
it. How dare she leave us?
I know. And of course, people like Harriet Fisher and
Yeah.
the board members, they all,
It was fun working with that group to pick out the furniture.
It was.
I was
And
the only
Ruthie-
guy on the board,
Ruthie.
of course.
Oh, Ruthie.
Oh, Ruthie
Ruthie.
Masterson. Oh, she was
She was the
unbelievably.
president of the Friends.
What a worker.
I can remember her going to the stores and getting Irish bread donated and being at the train stations and people getting
Yeah.
off the train selling bread. We needed money back then.
Yeah, we had no money in
we
the
had
kitty.
no money.
Yeah.
And then we were very fortunate. Betsy Weaver, when she passed
Oh,
away, left
what-
us a donation. And it's been invested very well.
Yeah.
And, we...
The Friends have carried on with
They
that.
have. That's why we used to have sweepstakes. We used to have all kinds of fundraising. We don't anymore.
Don't need to.
We don't need to. And, someone said, oh, you should still do it. No, let other people that
Yeah,
need it.
remember we sold cookies and stuff at the town meetings and
Gosh.
drag all that stuff in. And that.
Coming home one night, the police, heaven help them, they helped pack the back of my car
Yeah.
on the way out. And when I got in my garage, I lifted the back of the car up to take the milk out to put it in the refrigerator for the next morning.
Yeah.
And the way the tonic bottles, the cans are in there, they all started rolling out down the driveway. And it's kind of a hill going right down
Heading
to
to
115. It was like, chasing the cans down the hill. It was awful. But it was something to laugh about
It was.
afterwards.
Yeah, afterward, yeah.
It was kind of funny. Jim comes out, what's wrong? What's wrong? Because he hears me making this commotion. Oh, yeah.
But you've met a lot of interesting folks.
I have, and we've done a lot of things that you know, like when we didn't have a senior center, we had a group called HOP, Happy Older People, and they played kazoo. We had a kazoo band,
Ah,
and we all wore
kazoos.
yeah, we had kazoos, but it was like a kitchen band kind of type thing. We all had chef's hats, and we had white aprons with hop written across the top.
No kidding.
And attached to the kazoos, they'd put a spoon or something from the kitchen, and it was kind of fun. All the
Yeah.
people, and Charlie Stacy, who lived in Rentham, played the piano. Ada Hopper was there. She was our leader, and Mr. Paul Toomey, and sometimes he would sing. And his wife's name was Cecilia, and his wife had passed away. He'd get up and sing Cecilia. Remember
Oh
that
boy,
song?
yeah.
And
That's an old
it was
song.
so cute. And we went to nursing homes, and that was kind of a fun thing. That
With the
we did.
kazoo,
The kazoo band.
gang, the kazoo
The
band.
kazoo band. The
Yeah.
bus would take us. Fred, the bus driver.
Wow.
Yep.
You had a good time with it.
We had a very good time.
Yes.
And then we went into the prisons. And the prison had a program, Bay State, called PUTA. And it was prisoners engaged with the elderly retired people. Prisoners engaged with the retired elderly,
Yeah.
or something like that. And we quilted with them.
Quilted.
And we had a bunch of ladies that went in, and we quilted with them.
So the prisoner guys were quilting?
They were quilting, and it was hard to get you into the prison.
Oh,
They'd take
yeah.
a couple at a time and walk. There were a handful of us. There might have been 8 or 9 that went in every week, every Thursday, and we would get in there, and we had the same prisoners all the time, and he became very friendly with them.
Ah,
And there was one little boy. I call him little because he was awful young to be in
Yeah.
prison. As a mother, I just
Yeah,
felt bad
of
for this
course,
little boy.
of course.
His name was Joey. I probably shouldn't say his last name, but his first name was Joey. And so he just was so young, and he had long hair. So we'd be eating. They'd go and get our lunch. We couldn't leave the room unless we had to go to the bathroom. Then they'd get a woman guard
Yes.
to take us and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that. So when it was noontime, they would go out and bring our lunch in, and it like rotated. If you had hot dogs this Thursday, then 4 weeks from now you'd have hot dogs again.
Sure,
It just
sure.
did that rotation. And they'd bring it in, and they put the milk there, and I'd never drink milk. Well, Joey gave me this big deal about you should drink milk. It's good for your bones, da-da-da. He went on and on. I said, I'll tell you what. If you cut your hair boy style, I'll drink milk. And he said, really? I said, yeah. So anyway, the next week I called in and I said, there's a couple of sick ladies and there's only 2 or 3 of us, so, we're not coming in this week. And they said, oh. I said, why? We had a surprise for you. I said, now you got to tell me. I got to go a whole week thinking,
Yeah.
it has to do with milk. I thought,
Oh, no kidding.
So the next week I'll go in. Joey had a great big smile on his face.
And a haircut.
Beautiful boy's haircut.
Imagine
he
that.
he looked just so nice.
He
You
did.
can't imagine. The ladies used to tie his hair back with a ribbon,
Oh, no.
It was funny. So he brings the dinner, and he says to me, if it's going to make you sick, you don't have to drink that milk. I said, yeah, I drank the milk because I figured, well, maybe
Hey.
this poor kid,
Yeah.
and maybe never everybody ever
Yeah,
followed through
that's
for
true.
him.
No, that's-
I really felt, and I think of him. I hope he's out doing
I hope
well.
he's doing well.
And
yeah.
I hope this was the only problem he had, and he's out there doing well.
Wow.
So that was our prison
What an
stay.
experience, huh?
But PUTA used to have luncheons for the seniors all the time. And we used to, even Chauncey Eisner, he brought his violin in at one time. That was fun getting the violin
yeah.
in.
I bet, yeah.
And he sang for them and played the violin. And they'd put on a dinner. And it depended who was in prison, because they had a pastry chef in there. Oh my goodness, could he do desserts? And it was just, and the prisoners sat at the tables with us. And it was certain ones, just the ones
Sure.
that belonged to the PUTA program.
Because you have to understand, or people watching, it's not inside the wall. You weren't inside
Yes, we were.
the main prison?
Oh yeah, they
Oh.
brought us through the.
Oh, did they really? Through
yeah,
the...
oh yeah, we went
Wow.
through, and Yeah, we did. We
Oh, I
each
thought
one
you
of
were
us.
with the trustees on the
Oh
outside.
no, they brought us right through the courtyard
Oh, yeah.
into the building. Oh yeah, every Thursday we went
Isn't
out
that
that
something
way.
inside the wall? I was on the advisory committee and other things.
Yeah,
But it's like a campus in there.
it is.
It
Yeah.
surprises you when you walk in.
And then they had a different change of hands, and I guess they were a little stricter because they used to sell cards and stuff, and finally he wouldn't let them sell cards. And they gave us, that's how we started our little card business.
Ah.
We have greeting cards for 25 cents here, and not just any kind, like people come in, you can't always find the right birthday card you want.
Sure.
But you know how you get the cards for the mail? People just bring them in,
Yep.
and that's how the card business started here. And they also sold flowers too, and they had a garden. But you know, the change of hands, the change of and so that's when we stopped going in. And then when I had my car accident,
Yes.
they made me a quilt, the
Wow.
prisoners, and the ladies that
They
we went
liked
in
you.
with
Yeah.
them. And I came back a little sooner than they thought. They weren't quite done. So I helped them finish the
You
quilt.
helped to fill as your own
My
gift.
quilt. And then they presented it to me. And it
Ah,
was
isn't that
nice.
nice, huh?
I had it hanging on the wall for a long time, but then I was afraid because I had to fold it. I was afraid it would get, now
Yeah.
it's in my hope chest.
A hope chest.
Way back then, we got
Wow.
hope chests.
Yes, you
Yes,
did.
we
Yeah,
did.
I remember that. Nancy got one. Wow.
Yeah. Well, we hoped and kept all our hope that the guy would marry us.
The cedar, they were cedar lined or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also had the Scene program, and that was a program where this is before we got the senior center. We
Oh,
could
yeah.
do
No, this
all
is
these
this
things
before my
going
time,
way
yeah.
back. And seniors went into the school and helped if someone a child needed reading one-on-one type
Yeah.
thing. They did that. And I can remember Charlie Jerome went in and he gave something on the war. He was in the service.
Yes.
And I guess he did a wonderful program for that. And Georgia Jones was involved in
Yeah.
that. And a lot of good people.
Good.
Yeah. And Etta Cannareggi, I think. She was a neat lady.
Was she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these people, I mean, you know, every now and then I'll think of someone, like our bus drivers. You know, we had Ed Dunn, who I really didn't know that well.
Yeah.
He was only here for a short time and then he retired. But I can remember going on trips with him when his wife went all the time. They were from Franklin, I think.
Huh.
Then we had Charlie Gattoni.
Yeah.
He was a neat man. He took care of the bus. The bus was just perfect condition all the time. You never saw anything. It was neat and clean, just like he was, you know.
Wow.
He lived at Hillcrest. And it was funny. I've never had this experience before, or never since. But I used to go to 4 o'clock church, so I didn't have to get up. Sunday
Sure.
mornings, I could get up and Jim would have to get up and I could lay in bed and, you know, ha ha, he's got to get up today. So this time I went to 4 and I came home and he got up in the morning and went to church and everything and I fell back to sleep. And I had this dream and Charlie was driving the bus and it was going through Dedham where I lived in my old house and I don't know why.
This is all in a dream.
All in a dream that I was going by the house. Why that house, I don't know. But he stopped the bus, he got up, I was in the back of the bus, he gave me the keys and said, I can't drive for you anymore. So then I got home and the telephone rang, he died that morning.
Wow.
It was like, wow.
Well,
But that was Charlie.
that's something. huh?
Charlie had to, everything ended and he had to have everything in place. And
Yeah.
everything, you know, but it was just like, wow, you know. And then there was Fred.
Yes,
Remember
Fred, yeah.
Well, Fred was actually
He
there
was a
when
big guy.
Charlie was there because Charlie liked to play bocce on Wednesdays.
Oh, yes.
So we needed a bus driver. So Fred was kind of like the fill-in for
Yeah.
Wednesdays during the summer. So he took over then. And thing I remember about Fred, him being the kindest man, anything to seniors. It was
Oh,
like
yeah,
his
he'd put 'em-
babies.
he'd
He
turn
took
'em-
care
oh,
of them.
yes, yeah.
And Carol Belcher, when she said, Norma, one thing you've got to remember. And she said, don't go to anyone's birthday parties or funerals or anything, because if you miss one, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah,
'Cause
good advice.
Did I listen to her?
Of course not.
No, of course not. There was this Catherine Keenan who was the dearest lady, and she turned 90, and her family had a party for her. So Jim and I went, and Fred and his wife went, and I can't remember anything about the party, but I remember having to walk up the long driveway to get out. And Jim and I were in back of Fred, and you know what a big,
Oh, he's a big boy.
and he had his hand out like this, and his wife had her hand around him, and she came up to about here. It looked so funny to see them walking out. That's all I remember about the birthday
There you go.
party. And then we had, then Ray, our bus driver now.
Yeah, oh,
who
he's
was
a
just
great
as
guy.
neat as the rest of them. They were all caring, good
They
people.
really
and
worry about
really-
the seniors.
They did.
And did
And
everything they do, everything they can.
That
I
was
mean,
they were theirs, their people.
Yep.
And it was,
Protection personified.
and I can remember Helen Cleary said to me once, I had wrote into something and I said, my seniors, and she said, nobody really belongs to you. We And I thought, okay, Helen. She's right.
Yeah.
She's right,
Yes.
you know. But I considered them,
Sure.
yeah,
They were your keep.
they were.
Yep.
They were. But no, they don't belong to anyone. That's true.
It
Helen's
is
a
true.
nice lady.
Yes, she is. She's still going strong.
Oh, yeah. And when we had our dinner party, she was the main, she actually worked with Julia Childs.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She's,
And so when we had
she
our
went
dinner
to-
party,
She studied cooking with her.
yes, we had fish chowder once at the dinner party. We just couldn't get, we had to get the head of a fish. Do you know how hard it is to get the head of a fish to make fish chowder? Because in the shops, the heads don't
Oh,
come
it's
up.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, we finally found one. And to make the fish chowder. She wasn't able to do much cooking, but she could tell us, you know.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Oh, boy. We had some wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
meals.
She's a great, great chef.
She really is. Yeah.
So, what other types of things did you get involved in? What is this bowl that I see?
This is what we won at. We were the first town to do the tax relief program. And we received this from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. And the first year that they gave the award, they gave glass bowls. Now they give plaques for the wall.
Ah, this is
But this-
beautiful.
It is. And it's the Rose Award for our tax relief
Yeah.
program. Yeah.
Well, that isn't the only program that you've set up. We just did the Silver Set Gazette. There's tons of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them ones that you had before that, you know, people just didn't come anymore.
Yeah.
So you went on to something new.
Yeah. And, you know, I keep a rose in there because, you know, it's the Rose Award, and I kind of thought,
Yeah.
and I hope the next person in just doesn't, you know, say, oh, what's this glass bowl, you know?
No, we
But
won't
it's
allow
written.
that.
It was written.
It's
there
written
on
right
it.
on there,
Right
yes.
on there. And I also keep this little.
Oh, yes. Tell us the story on that.
Well, when the bulldozer first broke through, I followed the bulldozer in, and I took some of the original dirt, and I brought it home and I sifted it to get all the pine needles out and the rocks out. So I had a jar of dirt, and there's a little vial in here that I picked up at a spice store. You know, you have little vials to put
Sure.
the different you know,
Pepper
oils and
oh,
stuff
yeah,
in.
Oh, yeah.
And I filled it, and everyone got a vial and wrapped. There's a little poem in here, and Ginny Homer wrote the poem, and everybody that came to our opening house got one of these.
Yes, I have one.
You
Yeah.
have one, and that's one of the things that I've saved downstairs and marked in a big container.
Tell us about this container.
Well, this container, I bought it, the biggest one I could find. It's a plastic, you know, seal container.
Sure.
Because I was just afraid someone would see a jar of dirt and say, what the heck, you know, and throw it out. And I put the dirt in there. I have a piece of the shingle from the roof. I have a piece of the, you know, the one on the side of the siding.
Yeah.
I have a piece of almost everything that was done to this building, little pieces, and a piece of the rock. When they dug the foundation for this hold, there was the biggest rock, and they put it out where the flagpole is now, and we thought, what a great accent piece that's
Yes.
going to be. And we want that left right there. Well, one day I came, and they had blasted it, so it was all little pieces, and they had pushed it up into that hill, that banking up there. I was heartbroken.
I bet you
But I
were.
do have a piece of the rock,
A piece of the rock.
and I have it downstairs all marked, and in this container, and I have every memo that ever I got, and everything that ever happened when this building was done,
Yeah.
anything, and I have all kinds of charts and plans, and
So this could be a time capsule.
It could, I'd hope, and I just marked it history of building a senior center. So I had it all up in a drawer up here, but you know, someone might want the file
Sure.
cabinet,
Oh, yeah.
and it might just say, what's this? What are all these papers? Look at the date on them. You know,
That's true.
you know, 1989.
Yeah,
what do they
ancient
want
history,
that for? You know, and throw it out. But hopefully it'll be saved.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I was going to give it to the Historical Society, but I thought, nah, it should stay here. And I also put down in there that mushroom your brother gave me that made from a piece of wood in his
Oh yeah,
house.
he was.
That was supposed to be a good luck. And I didn't know what it was, and I had to ask you what it was because I didn't want to hurt his
True.
feelings. But I marked that. I put a little tag on
No,
it.
he thought the world of you. He and his wife.
Oh
so
yeah,
that
he was
his
such a
little-
nice guy.
He was a good.
And different
woodworker.
things, like this doily. I haven't marked it, but yes, I think I did though. I did with the tag. Mary Perry made that. You remember Mary Perry lived on Marshall
Oh
Street?
yeah.
She made that. Carmen Prentice gave me this bowl.
Carmen, she was a great
I
lady
marked that too.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, I've got all these little things around that I am putting tags on that mean a little something.
Sure.
I mean, of people that have been here in the past, you know, and there was so many people that did so many things to help get this center built.
It was a team effort.
Did
Yeah,
so
no
many
question.
cake bakes and so many, like the quilt that we did down at the Federated Church. When I started, we met one day, and then we got it to 2 days. And we made a quilt, and guess who won the quilt? We raffled it off.
Who?
Thelma Ravinsky.
Oh, of
She
course.
makes more quilts than of all people, but
That's
she was
always
so
the one.
happy to get it. And I can remember Bernie Wollaston living up by you. Remember Bernie?
Oh yes, she lived up the street. Yeah.
From you. Each senior did a square. And when she did her square, it was puffy, so she ironed it out flat. Well, a quilt's supposed to be sort of puffy.
Yeah.
I can remember Carmen and Clara White taking all the stitches out and redoing it so it would be puffy again. And they put it together and they raffled it off, and Thelma won it.
Isn't that something? Huh?
Yeah, and all little things that a few dollars here, a few dollars there.
Oh yeah,
you know,
we
it-
scraped. Yeah.
It added up, and you know.
And of course, you were involved in when we raided Southwood Hospital to get the.
Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that was so
we were
much
like kids
fun.
in a candy store.
Oh,
I mean,
it was, yeah.
We could have anything we
We
wanted.
wanted, and we
because
took
and we
everything.
took everything.
But we took 2 refrigerators, but we kept the best one and traded
Yes.
the other one in. We took a freezer. We didn't take the stove because it was electric and we were propane.
Yes.
But did we take it and trade it in?
I don't think we did.
Okay.
I know we used it, a lot of the stuff, as barter.
As trade-in for a
With,
dishwasher.
yep.
And, yeah, and their sinks were 2 bay sinks, and now you're required to have a 3 bay
right.
sink. And the only thing that I regret not keeping, and you guys talked me out of keeping it, but when you think of it, probably not, Norma.
Well, it would.
It was a small little, it was no bigger than a card table, but it had holes in the top, and it was a salad bar. It even had the hood over the top, and you plugged it
Oh,
in and
yes,
it kept cold,
yes, yeah.
and you could have all the salads.
Ah, yeah.
And they said to me, how much you really think you're going to use that? I wouldn't have then, but we probably would use it now because we have salad a lot. Yeah. You know, that's the only thing. We traded that in.
Yes.
But we had, oh, glory, dishes.
Oh my gosh.
Their
did we have
dishes were still in the boxes because they use paper.
Yeah.
We have more white Melmac dishes
It's true.
matching. We've got like, we could do hundreds of and glassware.
Yep.
And it's amazing.
Everything.
A punch bowl. We've got, you know.
Boy, Southwood just said, take it.
We took a table that fit perfectly in a little area, and now we have a copy machine on
Yep.
it. It looks like that area was made
It's true.
for that.
It's true. It's
you
amazing
know,
how some of the
how
stuff
some
fit.
of the stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, we took things like mirrors with shelves on that we never used. I think we just, as the stuff came off the trailer, and Ruthie Matson was her son-in-law, let us
Yes, yeah.
use his trailer for almost a year to store in this stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when it came here, CBS was here, and we took what we wanted as I come off the truck. No, we don't want that. And, you know,
They would, yep.
yeah.
So we got
Trays
credits,
and
yeah, we had all
dishes
kinds
and
of stuff we-
pots and pans. Yeah, it was just amazing. that what stuff that we took.
A bunch of kleptos, I tell you.
Oh, we were.
If it wasn't nailed
The
down, it went.
bookcase in our library came from there.
Yeah.
Remember getting that out? The
Yes.
highway department had to
Woo.
take that out. And they want us to take more. I guess the bookcases were built right in the building.
They
and
were.
They were room separators for their, I
Yeah.
don't know. But we only could take one. But
And
And of course, their furniture in their waiting room wasn't fire retardant, or if it was, the tags were off,
Yeah.
so we could. And they were, some of them were stained anyway,
Yeah,
so it was just as well that we
took the good stuff.
We took anything that wasn't war. And then we went into the nurses area. I don't know if you were with us when we went up on. We have
I don't remember.
the podium is from the nurses area.
Yeah.
Some of the chairs. When we went up on the third floor and we were walking through and we all started to scream, there was a body down the end there, and it was just laying out straight. It was their mannequin, that they used to do mouth
yeah.
to
Mouth to
It
mouth.
looked like it was a dead body from the.
No, I didn't go on
You
that
didn't go on that one. Well, it was exciting anyway.
But, the word came out that around town that whatever Norma wants, Norma gets. So,
Really?
you know what I mean? You had a great
Everybody-
relationship with the highway department up here.
Well, they're good people.
The fire, I know, fire and police, whatever Norma wanted. You had that way of asking. And
Well-
it was tough to say no.
No, but they were good. They were good people. They all helped us so much.
Yes, they did. They were willing
Every
to do
department,
it. They had to ask,
yep.
and they did it. Yep.
Yep.
Now you're going to miss this.
I am. I'm gonna miss the people, but you know what? And I'll come back in a while.
Oh,
I
yeah.
intend to come back on Tuesdays.
course.
I like that group, and I'm going on the trips.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you'll be right at home.
Yeah, I wrote down a lot of things. Like we talked about the tax relief program this scene, and we started the cribbage tournaments. And
Oh, yes.
Carmen Prentice's husband, he died on a Friday night, and Thursday he was there playing cribbage. He
Yeah.
wasn't well at all. And we started the tournaments in his honor years ago. We're still at the Federated Church, and it was Wrentham, Norfolk, and Millis, the three towns, because of the the King Philip.
Yeah.
And now it's Wrentham is no longer with us. It's Norfolk, Millis, Franklin, and Medway. So we each have
That's
turns.
been going on for a long time.
A long time. Our turn is in the winter, and of course this year was fine. We didn't miss a beat. But the winter before,
Oh,
our
we
whole
had all
tournament
that
was
snow.
canceled because
That
every
was
time
brutal.
it was awful.
Yeah.
But at one time we had 4 trophies. Now we only have 1.
There you go.
I know, and that is the Franklin one, I think.
I think it was.
Yeah, and Medway is was after hours in the spring, and then Millis is in the September.
Yeah,
so
there you
it'll
go.
be neat. Yeah. So and then I looked up all the outreach people that we've had, and I didn't remember some of these people. I know that Edith Severinsen and Chris Shaw. Chris Shaw's been with us for.
Oh, yeah.
She just retired a year and a half
Yeah, a
ago.
long time.
Long
Yes.
time. And she started with Edith, and the two of them were here when I came in. And then there was Joan McCusker. I had forgotten that she was an outreach. Priscilla Sarides, our neighbor.
Yeah.
Elizabeth St. Andrew. And Ginny Homer was for a while. 'Cause
She
she was
was.
only part-time secretary, and she did that. And then, of course, Jane Wolfgang. They were
Yeah,
some
Jane
of the
Wolfgang,
outreach
yeah.
people. Yeah. And then the chairman. You don't remember Melvin Long?
No, that was
No,
before my time.
Yeah. And then John Evans, of course.
Oh, what a great guy.
He was a great guy. And then Pat Lang. I'd forgotten she was a chair, but
Yeah.
she was. And Georgia Jones.
See, I came in the Georgia
Georgia
Jones
Jones.
area.
And then Richard Morris, and now Jay Talman.
Yep. Isn't that great, huh?
That great. And there weren't that many, And then, of course, who could forget Eleanor Pearson?
Oh, yeah.
She's helped start this whole, her and Ella Mascotte. What was her name? Her first name?
Yes.
Betty.
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 Right, exactly.
Yeah, and the two of them. Betty really, she kind of ran things, but really wasn't, had the name director, Carol Belcher. She was the first one when she came in. Yeah. And,
Oh, you certainly held that name that title a long time.
yeah. But that's, that's how things go. I mean, It'll be bigger and better, let me tell you.
I don't know about
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. People coming in have different ideas.
that. Oh, yeah.
you know,
it always happens.
Yeah, they do.
Very tough to top you, though.
Oh, I don't know. You know, because when you got me, you got my family too. That was the funniest part of it. They always, you know, in the time they put on the show, because they thought it was my last, about 3 years ago, I said I was going to
Oh, yeah,
retire.
right.
So they put on this big, they said, oh, we ought to do something, have a big bang at the end. So they put on this Halloween party, and they did the Lizzie Borden thing.
Yes.
Because we had just been to Lizzie Borden and got the
Right.
flat tire, and, you know, we knew Andrew Borden made it happen because I messed with his money. And it was just like,
Oh,
imagine
that's right, yeah.
going to the highway and
Yep.
saying, we got the flat tire. Norma took a penny
Yep.
from And Andrew, because she messed with Andrew's money, he was a miser.
Yeah.
On the way out, we hit the curb and split the tire. Andrew
You-
did it.
It was cursed.
It was.
It was cursed.
Really. So anyway, they decided that they would do a play, but they did it very differently. My whole family was involved. My son, my kids, my grandkids, their boyfriends. It was like, and we
Everybody.
practiced here. Besides practicing at my daughter's house, we had a good time. And it was like, it was Lizzie Borden, but it was after the trial. And everyone was back at the Borden house. And all of a sudden the lights went out, and Lizzie Borden was killed. And when the lights went back on, she was on the floor she had headband with a hatchet in her head. And it was a murder mystery kind of type thing. It was now the people in the audience, each table, had to decide who the
Who did
murderer
it,
was among the participants.
Yeah.
And each participant got up and say why they could be the guilty one, and there was no right answer. Whoever the people that were
Yeah.
in the play liked, that was the winner.
That was the
and
winner.
It was funny. And then at the end they did the dance. Michael Jackson's
Oh, yeah, that,
famous dance,
walk that he
and they
does.
had the lights, and the lights went out, and they had the arms, and it was just all dark. But cable couldn't show that because it was copyrighted, the music.
Oh, yeah.
So those that were in the play got a copy of it with that on the end. But when they showed it on TV, they couldn't do
Couldn't
that
do it, yeah.
because, because of the music. But yeah, and then I didn't retire.
After all of that, you decided to stay around.
I said, "Why don't? Yeah,
Why would I leave this?
yeah, this was fun." And so my kids still don't believe that I'm done in August.
They don't think.
No,
you
they
and,
think I applied for the job, maybe.
You and David Ortiz, you're going out with a bang. They
Yeah.
all think you're coming back.
Yeah.
Not coming back.
But anyway, so that's the big joke. She's not going to retire.
There you go.
No, we'll believe it when we see it.
Well, all of your friends and everybody that you've talked about and everybody else.
But there's so many people, and
You couldn't
I
come
I
home.
wrote a lot of names down, and I thought if I forget anybody,
Yeah, that's
and it's just like, but there has been so many, good people through through all. We have our little quirks. Some
Of
people
course.
might drive you crazy, but I miss those people. I miss them. It's just kind of like, wow.
Well,
Yeah.
you're going to come back. It's not that you're moving to California. or one of
No,
those
I
kind
live
of
right
things.
here in the town.
And
I'll come back to harass.
well, I'm glad I'm not the new director.
I
Let me put
know.
it that way.
But I'd like to come putter. I love to putter in the yard, and maybe they'll
Oh,
let
yeah,
me
your
putter.
flowers always look good.
Maybe they'll let me putter out here.
They will. They'll change it to one of the poles out there. And you can do the weeding on the hill.
Oh, needs it now.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I said to Jenny, tomorrow I'm going to wear my old clothes in because around the flagpole, it's a sin. The weeds in there is awful.
Yeah, it's been a bad year. for
Plants
weeds.
aren't growing
Yeah.
because it's no rain,
There's
but
no-
why are the
yeah.
weeds growing?
They're tough.
So if I
They're
just
tough.
get around the flagpole done, I'll be happy.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, any other items you
I
want to
don't
kick in
think
there?
so. It's probably. Oh, you know what? Talking about the outside, we have to thank your wife because Nancy was involved in the landscaping out here. She got
Oh, yes. yeah.
involved.
Yeah, she's big on landscaping.
Yeah, and I know she was here the day they are picking out the plants to put in here.
Oh, yeah.
But she designed most of this. She did.
Well, you see, now that Nancy's laid up for a while,
You have to do it?
I'm the landscape guy at my house,
I got to go check this
as
one
well
out.
as all the other stuff.
I got to go check it out.
Oh, they're all watered, believe me. And you have to, well, you know all the stuff. But yeah, no, I've become quite adept at all of
Okay.
that stuff now.
But I think of her when I think of the trees.
Well, that's
oh,
nice.
Look
I'll
how
pass that on.
trees have grown and stuff. Yeah, Nancy was here when they put the stuff in.
There you go.
Yep, she did, and I think we have the people that I have someone that runs the trips.
Yes.
Bev Ross. Elaine Wicklands does the cribbage tournament. She said she'll do it for another year, so that's good.
There you go.
You know, as you get older, you just get tired of these things, you know. And Diane Boucher, she does the nitwits.
Yep.
And that. And Sue Crane does the craft kind of thing and the quilting. And we've got all these people, and if I start naming them, I'm going to forget somebody.
Well,
and
I just think we throw in Bill Crane because he's been very supportive.
The
and all the friends, just
the
super.
friends.
You've worked
You
well
can't-
with them all these years.
Yeah, well, we're in
You've
it
seen
all
it
together.
come and go, yeah.
We're in it together, and we help one another. You
Yeah,
know,
you certainly
and I'll
do.
probably still be involved with the friends. I like when they have the trivia. I like keeping score.
course you do.
I like keeping
There you
score
go.
for the trivia thing. You know,
There you
stuff,
go.
little stuff like that. And they need a lot of volunteers to do little stuff like that. People working in the kitchen. I mean, we have Monica Wise who works there.
Yes.
And just so many,
Sure.
people that volunteer. And like people that, I don't want to stop, like I say, mention names. People that, when they have a luncheon, just set the tables for you. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big thing.
It is a big thing.
If you had to set the tables and, and just little things like that. Everybody is so helpful, in the background. Like Bill Radcliffe, he waits every night to make sure I get into my
he
car.
does. He's a good guy.
He's a
Yeah,
good
he
guy.
Does, yeah.
And he'll kind of set up for the breakfast. And
Sure.
it just does it quietly,
Yep.
just kind of volunteers.
Well, you see, over the years, of course, you've been a great leader, but you've been a good friend to these folks. They've come to you for
they're
different
they're
things.
my friends.
Yeah, they are your friends, and it's worked out well for
Yeah.
both them and for you.
Well, I think it's because we're the same age. I'm old. I
No,
should have retired.
No, I don't think
years
I
and
don't
years
think
ago.
that's it. No, I think it's a great job that
Well,
you've done.
Well, I think it's the age has a lot to do with it.
Well,
too. We understand.
from the time that you started way back, what we talked about, you've matured, you've learned things as you go. Everything changed, you kept up with the times. I mean, the senior center is just super, no question about it, and we owe it to you.
And to the people I have around
And to
me.
the people, yeah, but they aren't going to
Yeah.
do it unless you want to help them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
show them
I
the
had
way.
such a
You're
committee.
the leader. No, yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're shy, but
Couldn't have done it alone. You couldn't have done it alone.
I got to tell you, I've had a lot of fun over the years
yeah,
with
we
you.
have.
We've had a good
We've
time.
had doing the show and crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff is
Crazy
right.
stuff. Doing it outside. I mean, Remember the time we did it outside?
Yeah, we did it under the big tree over at Lake Street.
Oh, that's another big thing that we did. We got, the
Oh,
Boston
yes.
Post cane.
Yeah.
Well, we never got it. We never received a cane. I guess every town was notified by the Boston Post if they wanted one.
Yep.
And whether our town just ignored it or never
might
did
have.
it, But anyway, we never had one, and everyone gave a cane to the oldest person. So that was one of the last things I wanted to do before I
Yes,
retired.
yes.
I always have something I wanted
Yes,
to do.
you
but
did.
that
It
was
was
one
always a
thing.
program.
And then I found a man who was a cane maker in town, James Fay. And I contacted him and told him what I wanted to do. And he said, oh, I've got the perfect tree, a sycamore tree. He said, I know where there is one. He said, it's over on Lake Street. And I said, oh. And he said, it's on private property, though.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And so I called the people and asked them, and they were thrilled. They said, oh, yes, you can take a branch from the tree. So we also called then a tree people.
Yep.
They did it for nothing.
They did it for zip, yeah.
They came down, took the tree down.
Norma wants, Norma gets, you see.
And James Fay took it, and because I guess when sycamore dries, it could twist. I find out a lot.
Yeah,
you learn
you
something every
became
day.
a tree expert in
And
sycamore
so he took
especially.
it to a lumber mill to have it dried so it wouldn't twist. And then we did our newsletter for that month right there.
Right there, we were under the tree.
Under the tree,
Yeah.
after we had filmed them cutting the branch and
true.
everything. And that was kind of a fun thing. And then, unfortunately, Mr. Fay's wife died and was very ill and died. And I didn't, pest him for a while about how's the cane coming. So I waited for a little bit, and then I did. I called him and asked him about the wood and the cane and everything. And he just said to me, Norma, I'd love to do it. He said, but I'm not just able. I don't go down to the basement anymore, because his basement was, with all his equipment and everything.
Yeah.
He even had an air system in there, and he had all kinds of wood from all over. And he was very proud of his.
I bet he was.
And he collected canes, and that's what he did for a living. And you go into his house, he had all kinds of a collection of canes. And actually, he came here and did a program once on canes. And he said he couldn't do it anymore, so it was kind of like, he said, but I'll bring the wood over to you. So he brought the wood over. And, I had the wood here. And I thought, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And the wood, I had someone else. I had Peter look at it, that's on our
Yes.
board that's moving. And there were a lot of knots, and he said, I don't know if you could actually make, because some of the knots, and he said the way it had split and dried, and he said, I don't know. So anyway, it was kind of like I was in limbo again. It was like, wow. So I went online, and I came across this gentleman in the Carolinas who did it as a hobby. He was a school teacher. So I emailed him. He had his email out there that he did things. So he sent me back samples, and so he made the cane for me. And he said, you can't make it out of ebony like the original cane was.
Yeah.
First of all, if you found a piece that long, it would cost you a fortune.
Ton of money, yeah.
He said, but I can stain it so it almost looks like ebony.
Sure. Came out
So
good.
he did, and we have a gold top, a brass top on the top with the town of Norfolk on it. So we have our own cane, and we've given it to 2 people already. And, it's just neat. It's in a cabinet here at the Senior Center
With the names.
with the names on a plaque. And there's room for plenty more. We have this
There
plaque
you
with a
go.
lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
names on
Yeah.
it. And the
That was
first
very
one,
nice. That was a nice touch.
yeah, and the first one was an old townie, Ravinsky.
Yep.
It's a Ravinsky, her name. I called her Rohicke, and she corrected me as Rokicki. And she, as old as she was 100 and something.
Yeah.
She corrected me, and I said Rohicke through the whole, and they taped it through the whole thing. I called her that, and she said, my name's Kiki. Sorry.
The intent was there.
And sweet lady, and we talked a little bit, and she got the cane.
Nice touch.
And actually, we keep the cane here
Yes.
because over the years, different towns who had the original cane got lost.
Yep.
Because the person kept it, and it
Sure.
was given to men only at one time.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And when the person died, people think, "What's this cane?" And it just,
Didn't mean anything.
So we give everyone a little miniature cane
Yeah.
pin. So we have
That's
several
nice.
pins that
Yeah.
we got, and so that's what.
Real nice touch.
That was a nice thing. And then it was, we got the bus then. That's why I had to stay. And then it was, we need the garage for the bus. And I thought, this is going to go on forever.
Yeah.
It's always going to be something
That's
I want to
true.
do. So that's when I decided,
Better bail.
yeah. And we're getting the garage probably maybe before I even leave.
It could
It's
be.
going to be built over
Yeah,
to
there
the
you go.
new school, the Friedman Kennedy School. So, yeah. So things are moving.
I tell you, you can look back on all these good things with a lot of good memories.
Lots of good and fun
And
times
It's
that we
funny,
had.
when you retire, you do start remembering things
People,
in
and
your
sometimes
life. Yeah.
people's names will pop into your head and you'll go, wow, I remember that lady.
True.
She lived on such and such a street, or she lived at Hillcrest Village a lot. Like Laura Wirtz, who lived up in Hillcrest Village.
Yeah.
And she was kind of a loner. And I kind of did something Carol Belch told me not to do, get real chummy and friendly. well, I felt bad for her. So she was in the hospital once, so I took care of her bird. And it was easy to take the bird to my house than to go to
Sure.
her house every day to take care of the bird. So I did. So I brought the bird back to her, and didn't the bird lay an egg? So she called
You're
me.
kidding.
She called me. Well, I guess birds do lay eggs. They're
Yeah,
not
apparently.
fertile, but they
Only
do.
if they're well taken care of.
So anyway, she accused me of everything. That bird laid an
I'll
egg.
bet, yeah, I'll bet.
It was funny, and she gave all her friends a plant, a crown of thorns. She never
Oh,
gave
yeah.
me a crown of thorns. Never. She gave everybody that was her friend.
I wonder why.
And she always said to me that, well, this is something she always said, you can trust your animal friends more than you can your people friends.
Wow.
But anyway, all her people friends, she gave a crown of thorns. I was starting to feel a little, how come I never got a plant? So when she got sick and she was in a nursing facility, she said, will you take all my plants? And, most of them, had overgrown and
Yeah,
stuff.
sure.
And she said, can you save a piece out of my crown of thorns? Well, it's a beautiful plant, and it grows, and it had grown towards the window, and it was crazy. And I thought, I'm not taking this. So I took a couple of snips out of it, and I started at home, and didn't take.
It did.
So I called her, and I said to her, I'm going to bring it over to the nursing home for you. She said, no, you keep it. So she did give me
She
it.
did. Took a while.
Took a while. But this plant, it's supposed to be the crown that Christ
Yes,
on his head.
yeah.
And it always has little red flowers on it all the time. And that's supposed to be the blood of Christ. And I have it on my porch now.
Do you?
My porch is enclosed with glass windows and everything. And I have a hummingbird that sees these red, and he buzzes that window all
Oh,
the time.
yeah.
He wants to get in. Pretty little, teeny little red all over the top.
Isn't that something, huh?
Prettiest plant, but it's got thorns all over it, and it has leaves too, But yeah,
Wow.
that was my friend. I had a lot of friends like that.
Yes, you do.
Different ones. All her animals are buried in my backyard too. She had lots of birds.
Yeah,
They're all buried.
yeah.
And she bought a little statue of Francis of Assisi. Is that?
Yeah, it could
The
be.
animal
Yes, yeah.
saint, and she put it right with. So it's still in my backyard. I bet you don't have stories like that.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of good memories.
Lots and lots. Yep.
Well, I think what I get out of all of this is you turned out to be a super friend with me. Over the years we've grown
We have.
to be.
We have.
We kid with each other. We have a lot of fun, but we do some good things together.
Yep.
And I think we've contributed, and I know you have certainly contributed.
Well,
you just did everything you could do to make this what it is
it's my
today.
pleasure. Like I say, I have to thank the town for giving me this job.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
It was the best thing. It was just.
Well, we all wish you the best in retirement.
Thank you. And I'll be seeing you.
Oh
I'll be
yeah,
around.
it's not goodbye. It's
Yeah.
just not won't be in that front office anymore.
Yeah,
That's-
and I might even come down and harass cable. Maybe I'll join and start taking films or take those classes they've got down there. Who knows?
I don't know if they know what they're in for, but hey, we wish you the best.
Thanks. Bye-bye.